Let me tell you something that nobody wants to say out loud anymore. If you are a man dating in the 30 to 35 age range today, you are walking through an emotional minefield. This is not because all women in this age group are problematic or difficult to deal with. Many of them are incredible human beings and would make fantastic life partners under the right circumstances. But you have to look at the cold reality of the subset that remains in the active dating pool at this specific stage of life. The naturally calm, feminine, and emotionally stable women in this age range are usually already partnered up. They got married at 27, settled down at 29, and are currently building families and homes. The dating pool you are entering at 33 is not a representative sample of all women. It is a high-pressure environment filled with individuals who are staring down a terrifying biological deadline. When you sit across from a woman in this age bracket, you're often not just dating a person. You're dating a decade of accumulated disappointments and a very loud internal alarm clock. There is an urgency in the air that has nothing to do with you, yet it will define every interaction you have. I have seen countless men walk into these dates thinking they are just getting coffee or a casual dinner. They think they are in the discovery phase, where two people slowly get to know each other over time. But for many women in this window, the discovery phase is a luxury they feel they can no longer afford. They are not looking for a genuine connection. They are performing a high-stakes audit of your entire life. Within the first hour, they are checking your income, your height, and your immediate readiness for fatherhood. You are not a man to be discovered. You are a series of checkboxes to be ticked off a pre-written list. This is what I call the conscription of the modern man into someone else's crisis. You're being drafted into a role in a play that was scripted long before you even arrived at the restaurant. She has already furnished the nursery in her imagination before you have even finished your first drink. The weight of this expectation is heavy, and it creates a transactional atmosphere that kills genuine romance. You might feel like you are failing a test that you did not even know you were taking. Every normal relationship milestone is being compressed into an unnatural and frantic timeline. If you want to wait 6 months to introduce her to your parents, you are accused of being a time waster. If you want to travel for a year before discussing marriage, you are labeled as emotionally immature. Taking time to develop true feelings is seen as a pathology rather than a healthy part of human bonding. The internal deadline effect changes the way these women view you as an individual human being. You are no longer John, the guy who loves hiking and has a great sense of humor. You are a potential husband material unit, or a financial stabilizer for a future she is desperate to secure. Your individuality is lost in her desperate need for you to fill a specific functional role in her life. This pressure is often a direct result of the strong, independent woman narrative they followed in their 20s. They spent a decade building careers and having fun while assuming that the family part would just happen later. Now that later has arrived, the options are shrinking and the panic is setting in. They want you to compensate for the years they spent prioritizing everything except a stable partnership. They want the dating dynamics of their youth combined with the extreme timeline pressure of their current reality. It is a mathematical impossibility to satisfy all these demands while building a healthy and organic bond. Furthermore, you're not just dealing with her. You're dealing with the ghosts of every man who failed her. You're paying the emotional interest on a debt created by the guy who cheated on her when she was 25. You're expected to heal the trauma caused by the man who would not commit to her at 31. You have become an emotional janitor tasked with cleaning up a mess you did not make. Every time you show a hint of hesitation, it triggers a defensive response based on her past traumas. She is waiting for you to reveal yourself as just like all the others, because she is exhausted by the process. The excitement of meeting someone new has been replaced by the resentment of still being in the market. Social media only intensifies this internal pressure to a point of near insanity. Every time she scrolls through her feed, she sees engagement rings and baby announcements from younger friends. Her Instagram is a constant reminder that she is falling behind the curated milestones of her social circle. She feels like a failure if she does not have a +1 for the next wedding or a family photo for the holidays. This social proof anxiety is then transferred directly onto you in the form of ultimatums and demands. You are her ticket to social validation and proof that she is not defective in the eyes of society. Then, there is the weaponization of therapy language that has become so common in this age group. She has learned just enough psychology to be dangerous, but not enough to be truly self-aware. If you set a boundary, she calls it gaslighting, or claims you are triggering her. If you ask for space, she diagnoses you with an avoidant attachment style to guilt you into compliance. Every disagreement is pathologized through a lens of trauma to make you the villain in the story. It is strategic communication designed to force an accelerated commitment under the guise of wellness. She tells you she knows what she wants now, but that clarity is often just fear dressed up as wisdom. Selective dating isn't about finding the best match. It is about locking someone down before the window closes. The values talk you hear on the third date is often a plea to not waste her remaining fertile years. It sounds mature and deep, but the underlying motivation is often pure, unadulterated survival panic. Men need to understand that this level of urgency is a massive red flag for long-term stability. Healthy relationships require time, space, and a shared rhythm that cannot be forced or manufactured. Compatibility isn't just about wanting the same things. It is about how you feel when the pressure is off. But in this dating bracket, the pressure is never truly off until you have signed the papers and had the kids. And by then, you might realize you are married to someone you barely even know. You might find yourself in a life that was designed for her timeline rather than your mutual happiness. Resentment builds when a relationship is built on compliance rather than genuine attraction and love. You will feel like a tool being used for a purpose rather than a partner being cherished for who you are. The provider expectation also tends to peak during this specific 30 to 35 window. After years of promoting 50-50 equality, traditional roles suddenly become very attractive to them. They want the stability of a man who can provide while they navigate the transition into motherhood. There's nothing wrong with wanting a provider, but the sudden shift in philosophy is often purely situational. It is a calculation based on need rather than a deeply held belief in traditional family structures. You have to ask yourself if she wants you, or if she just wants what you can provide for her dream. The reality of the biological clock is a genuine burden for women, and we can empathize with that. However, her biological timeline is not your personal emergency to solve. You are not obligated to rush your life or sacrifice your standards because someone else waited too long. True maturity in a man is the ability to recognize this pressure and refuse to be moved by it. Your reluctance to commit after 3 weeks is not a sign of fear. It is a sign of high intelligence. Your desire to see how she handles conflict over a year is a sign of long-term vision. Do not let her panic become the architect of your future or the ruler of your household. The most dangerous thing a man can do is marry out of guilt or the fear of wasting her time. If you are not ready, you are not ready, and no amount of emotional manipulation should change that. Watch for the early signs of this desperation in the first few interactions you have. If she brings up her ex-boyfriends constantly, she is still living in the wreckage of her past. If she asks about your 5-year plan before she knows your favorite color, she is interviewing a role. If she mentions the biological clock on the first date, she is telling you that her needs override your pace. These are not signs of a woman who is ready for a deep and meaningful connection with a man. These are signs of a person who is looking for an exit strategy from the dating market. You deserve to be loved for the individual that you are, not for the function you serve on a timeline. You deserve a woman who is excited to learn your story, not one who is trying to fit you into hers. The best way to handle this is to remain calm, firm, and entirely unbothered by the pressure. If she leaves because you will not commit on her schedule, let her go with a smile. She was never interested in you to begin with. She was interested in the destination you could provide. By letting her go, you are opening up space for a woman who actually values you as a person. Someone who does not see a relationship as a business merger or a race against a clock. There are women out there who have not lost their sense of wonder or their ability to bond organically. But you will not find them if you are busy being an emotional janitor for someone who is in a panic. The 30 to 35 age range is a filter that separates those who have done the work from those who are desperate. Do not be the man who settles for the desperate because you are afraid of the conflict. Stand your ground and protect your peace, your resources, and your future children. A home built on the foundation of a biological emergency will always be unstable and prone to collapse. Wait for the foundation that is built on mutual respect, shared values, and a natural attraction. That is the only way to ensure that your 30s and 40s are years of growth rather than years of regret. Remember that a high-value man always has options, and time is on your side more than you think. Do not let the cultural narrative tell you that you are the one with the problem for moving slow. The problem is the culture that tells women they can have it all later without any consequences. You are simply the one observing the consequences and making a rational decision to step back. Be compassionate, be kind, but above all, be absolutely immovable in your standards for a partner. You are the prize in your own life, and anyone who wants to share it must earn that place with patience. The minefield of dating in your 30s is only dangerous if you forget to look where you are stepping. Keep your eyes open, your boundaries high, and your heart guarded until it finds a safe place to land. The right woman will appreciate your caution because it shows that you take commitment seriously. She will understand that a life built together is worth the weight and the proper foundation. Anything less than that is just a transaction, and you are worth more than a simple trade of services. Take your time, choose wisely, and never apologize for protecting your life and your legacy. This is the hard truth that men need to hear to navigate the modern dating landscape successfully. Do not be a victim of someone else's ticking clock or a puppet in someone else's script. Build your own life first, and then find someone who truly belongs in it for the right reasons. That is how you win the game of life and avoid the traps set by the desperate and the hurried. Stay strong, stay focused, and never let the pressure of a deadline dictate the quality of your love. This journey is yours to lead, not hers to rush, and you have every right to take the long road. Your future self will thank you for the moments you chose wisdom over the comfort of a quick fix. The peace you feel when you are with the right person is a quiet signal, not a loud alarm. Listen for that silence, and do not settle for the noise of a frantic and pressured heart. This is the path of the man who respects himself enough to wait for what is actually real. Thank you for listening, and remember that your value is not defined by anyone else's schedule. In this modern age, being selective is your greatest superpower as a man. The noise of society will try to convince you that you are running out of time as well. But a man's prime is a marathon, not a sprint, and your value only increases as you build your empire. Do not trade your long-term peace for someone else's short-term panic. The world is full of people who rushed into choices they now have to live with forever. You have the opportunity to be different and to move with a level of intention that most people lack. Trust your intuition when something feels off, even if you cannot put it into words right away. That feeling of being auditioned is your brain's way of telling you that the connection isn't organic. Respect yourself enough to walk away from any table where respect is not being served. Your time is the most valuable asset you possess, and you should guard it like a fortress. When you find the right partner, the conversation about the future will feel like a natural expansion. It will not feel like a demand, an ultimatum, or a desperate race against a biological clock. It will feel like two people looking at a horizon and deciding to walk toward it together. Until you find that, keep building, keep growing, and keep your standards exactly where they belong. The minefield is only dangerous if you do not know it is there. Now that you know, you can navigate it with the confidence of a man who knows his own worth. Success in dating is not about finding someone quickly. It is about finding the right one correctly. Stay sharp, stay vigilant, and always lead with your logic rather than your loneliness. The life you save might just be your own, and that is a victory worth every moment of patience you invest today. Keep moving forward at your own pace. The right people will always be able to keep up with you without trying to slow you down. Believe in the process and believe in yourself. The truth is always louder than the panic if you are willing to listen. Take a deep breath and realize that you are in control of your destiny. No one else gets to hold the pen while you are writing your story. Make it a masterpiece.